I am the history.
What's that?
I am the history.
Well, tell me about it.
I am the history.
Tell me about it.
I am
Yeah.
the history.
I know, tell me.
I am the history.
What does that?
I am the history.
I'm trying to understand you.
I am the history.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Okay. I know the history. You don't know your history.
I
You
know.
have no history.
What does that mean?
No history.
Okay, well, it's good to meet you.
So I've reshot this intro about 20 or 30 times now. And the reason why is because every single time that I come to the Washington Monument or the Lincoln Memorial, I'm absolutely speechless. I'm in reverence of just being here. And the video that I want to shoot today is very much inspired by George Washington and by Abraham Lincoln, because this is a video about freedom. And this is a video about your own personal war of independence, what it means for you to achieve your personal freedom.
So you'd think with all the sacrifice that people have made for freedom, that might get you a free candy bar, or it might get you a free trip to Hawaii or free trip to Disneyland or something like that. But what you get for freedom is actually a lot more abstract. And I think a lot of people have lost sight of what the privilege of being free actually means. The privilege of being free, which is a right, which is a God-given right, is actually the freedom to fail. It's the freedom to go broke. It's the freedom to be in a lot of pain. It's a freedom to really, really screw up and hurt yourself, because it's through pain and through resistance and through failure that we grow. So as an analogy, you'll see me hobbling up these stairs here and you'll see me winded. And that was because I broke my leg skiing, was in a wheelchair for about half the year. It's for about the past 6 months. And this is just me barely able to walk around again. Let me ask you a question. Do you think me being in a wheelchair for 6 months hurt my growth or helped my growth? Well, it's probably the single most important thing that's happened to me in my adult life. I learned such an incredible amount being in that wheelchair. Imagine if I was stripped of the freedom to go have an accident and to learn from it and to get stronger, to grow. Well, whatever I'm gonna build in my life, that would not have been built, because I would have been in this sort of little aquarium where I could never reach my full potential. Every single thing in your life that you're proud of is gonna come through resistance. It's gonna have to be earned. You're gonna have to fight for it. You're probably gonna have to fail a bunch of times. It's gonna hurt a lot. And that's what creates the context for when you get it, that you appreciate it, but it's also the resistance against which you actually grow. If we remove your ability to lift weights, then you're gonna be somebody who's very frail. And that is the abstract notion of freedom, is that you have the freedom to go and fail. You have the freedom to see examples of people that are failing, examples of people that are succeeding, make a decision on where you want to be, and then make a decision on how far it is that you want to grow for your own vision of life. In addition to that, freedom also means that you're an agent in an open world video game, but the real video game of your life, as opposed to in this predetermined video game. So imagine that you're playing a video game. Do you want to play a game where it's all laid out for you? Or do you want to play an open world video game? I personally am a big fan of open world video games. They're a lot more fun. It's your life. You can build out of your life what you want. No one's making you do it. The problem with people making you do it is, who is the decider? Look, that's one thing in a video game, that somebody lays it out for you. But what's the average person like who imposes on you the way that you have to live? It's probably a fucking asshole, okay? It's probably the last kind of person that should ever be telling somebody else how to live, is the one who feels the need to control your life and make an occupation out of that. Think about it a little bit like bowling. If you're bowling and the lane is wide open and you can miss, and there's an actual game to be played, now you're playing the game of bowling. But what happens is that if we take the lanes and we shrink it and we shrink it and we shrink it to the point that you just roll the ball down the lane, you're not actually bowling anymore. Where's the point where it ceases to be bowling and it's just you just rolling a ball down a predetermined lane? So I want to jump in the video for 2 seconds to ask you a question. Do you think that it would be cool if you had a several decade expert come and meet you in person completely for free, help you to make a ton more money, help you to become a better public speaker and communicator, take you out for an incredible field trip so you could actually practice social skills out in the wild? If that person could build a mastermind group, a networking group for you, and really just give you the best weekend of your life totally for free. Well, guys, did I just do that out here in Philadelphia? Yeah. Guys, thank you. Guys, I've talked for years. What would you say if somebody's at home thinking of coming out to the free tour, coming out to a free event, and they're like, should I actually come out to a free event? What would you guys say?
It's true, it's real, it's enlightening, it's bringing me back to life.
Community.
Enjoying the community here?
I'm so thankful to meet you.
Boost the confidence.
It's the best thing that I ever attended. I'm so glad that I came. I got a lot of value from the event, and I'm just grateful that you're still doing this while you're still doing it.
It's really disruptive, transformative to the way you think.
Great cities, if you want to be there. What happens is we leave them available until they fill up, and once the room is full, that's it, no more access. Click the link below right now. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, giving you some feedback, and actually going out together. It's gonna be awesome, okay? Free event coming up. Click the link. Would you guys recommend they click the link?
Yeah.
Awesome, okay? We'll see you at the free tour. So the ability to be free is the ability, it's the privilege, it's a God-given right, really, the God-given right to fail, and the God-given right to have resistance, and the God-given right to grow, and it's the understanding that it's your life. But the challenge that we see is that a lot of people don't really have a concept of what freedom means. A lot of time when I visit the memorials, you'll see people acting like complete idiots in front of the memorial. And, you know, they have the freedom to do that because they have the freedom to fail. But you can also see, you know, some people's behavior in front of monuments like this, that it reflects a lack of understanding of what it is that they're participating in. And what you'll realize when you see some of that behavior when you visit the monuments is that we are one single generation away from freedom being completely gone. One generation of idiots who lack the abstract understanding of what freedom is and think it's that they get a free trip to Disney World, who will blow all of it, who will ruin all of it and will cause it to be gone. And future generations, your kids, will basically be living a completely predetermined life, and the world will probably start to look a lot like the movie WALL-E, with people just being fed things that would just pander to them, as opposed to having their own ability to determine their own life. So anyway, in my view, every single generation, there's gonna be a specific kind of personality that tries to take away that freedom. It's predictable. I remember when my kid was playing at Disney World once, and he was just having a little bit of fun, and some other kid said, hey, wait, you're not allowed to go there. You can't go there. Don't go over the line. And I was like, oh, you're gonna be one of those people when you're older who tries to mess everything up and tell everybody what to do. That's gonna be that kid. And every single generation has to participate in the battle to make sure that the world doesn't wind up like that. So ideally, you come in the world, you're kind of a baby, you go through pain, you go through resistance, you have the capacity to grow, and you have the freedom to reach the strongest version of yourself and the best version of yourself to whatever extent that you choose. Then as you gain in strength, as you gain in power, you can actually participate in that same struggle every single generation to be somebody who helps to preserve freedom, as opposed to somebody who just messes it up. So what we'll be talking about in this video is to give you a little bit more of a, I guess you might just say a sort of a thought process as far as what this means, you know, what it means to live in a free world, what freedom actually means, why it's important for everybody, why everybody needs to be included in that vision. You having fun?
Nice speech.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice speech.
Thank you. It's good to meet you.
No, I don't shake hands.
Why is that?
I'm God's people.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Did you like the speech?
I don't like speech.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. It's good to meet you. You okay? What's got you so in a bad mood? And that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's, come with me, every single generation.
I am the history.
What's that?
I am the history.
Well, tell me about it.
I am the history.
Tell me about it.
I am
Yeah.
history.
I know. Tell me.
I am the history.
What does that?
I am the history.
I'm trying to understand you.
I am the history.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Okay. I know the history. You don't know your history.
I
You
know.
have no history.
What does that mean?
No history.
Okay. Well, it's good to meet you. What brought you here if you hate the history? Well, it's good to meet you. I'm just on my way out. I'm not following you. Have a great night. Good night. But that's a lot of what I'm seeing.
So happy. You make me happy more. Stupid.
Okay. Have a great night. But I hope you enjoy the monument. Have fun. But that's, you know, you'd think a lot of people would want to edit that out of the video, but that was the exact point that I'm trying to make in the video, is you see a lot of that at the monuments now. People who hate the history, people that are just kind of don't understand it. But what I want to talk to you about in this video is I want to show you how you could be somebody who adds to freedom. Okay? And I think when you look at anybody, you can see the energy that they're coming from. You can feel that place they're coming from. And you're going to have to go within yourself and see what kind of person you want to be. So what it is that you saw there, that kind of pain and that kind of trauma, that's the kind of pain and trauma that could be easily weaponized. And somebody who's in that state of mind, if they collectivize with other people that are in that state of mind, they may not have a nuanced understanding of or the ability to be sophisticated enough to understand what freedom really means. So from their perspective, it's just pain and pain and pain and pain, and a simplistic idea of how to make that pain go away. So that's a lot of my mission, and what I'm trying to relate to you is understanding what it means that you have your life and you can make out of your life what you want to make out of it. It's your life. And when you are somebody who actually makes something out of your life and does something with that freedom, when you do something with that, what's going to wind up happening is you're creating an example and you're contributing to the preservation of that freedom. But if you just waste your life and don't do anything with that freedom, and you're sitting there in pain, and then you think that the solution is just anger or bitterness or hatred, then what's going to wind up happening is it's just very tempting to collectivize and just blame that on everybody but yourself. So everybody would interpret differently what it was that you saw in that interaction. Everyone would interpret it differently. But my interpretation is that what you saw was a deep pain. That's something that is a deep trauma. And somebody whose mind is filled with so much bitterness and resentment that they can't even articulate themselves. So if somebody's at that point where they have so much bitterness and resentment they can't even articulate themselves because they're not able to see the beautiful gifts they have in front of them and all they can feel is pain, what happens when someone like that is able to collectivize and find other people that share a very similar point of view? Well, what's going to wind up happening in cases like that is something like, I just want free money, or I'm just pissed off. That is going to be a lot more resonant than, I have this abstract notion of freedom where I can grow from my struggle and so on and so forth. Like that's just too abstract. It's not resonant. So it's easy to understand that. I think that when you see that, you can understand it. And you see a lot of that at the monuments. It was funny, we had done a take earlier that was so crazy. There was like kids out front just, I mean, I almost don't want to explain to you, but the point being is that if that's just what's going on, then you're someone where, you know, I'm sure that you're able to understand that, right? You're able to see what it is that I'm saying. But at the same time, if you don't back that up with action, if you don't back that up so that your life is a model of that, of you're given freedom and you made something out of it, the point that I'm trying to make is that culture with the internet can change like that. Just boom, changes. And everything can change. And you could see hundreds of years of sacrifice and progress just wipe down the drain in a single generation if people with that much anger collectivize, and then if politicians benefit and profit from actually feeding that and stoking that sense of pain and trauma. So on one side, you can say, okay, well, the solution is to try to engage at that level. Sure, try to engage with that. But I think a better solution is we have to be better examples of what can be achieved when we have that freedom. So from my point of view, if you're seeing that and you can understand in abstract why that's a problem, understand that in abstract and writing an internet comment, that's not enough. You've got to be a living, breathing example of changing your own life. And when you're able to change your own life, then other people can see that as a living, breathing example. And that's how culture starts to change. So you changing your own life is a lot more important than you realize, because you changing your own life actually contributes to the preservation of people being free.
So we just got out to Shenandoah National Park, Skyline Drive, and it's been a dream of mine to get out here during what's called leaf peeper season, and that's when the leaves turn yellow, orange, red, and it took a lot of intention for me to get out here. Believe it or not, it's about 2 years of planning for me to be sitting here right now. I've got to plan my schedule about 2 years out. So we're sitting here right now, I'm shooting this in 2024. You might be seeing this video in 2025 or whenever you're seeing it, and the trip planned here to Shenandoah was planned in 2022. Okay, a little bit crazy. And that's a lot of intention. A lot of intention goes into that. One of my favorite lines in a documentary about Gates to the Arctic National Park in Alaska, the video opens and it says, "Gates to the Arctic National Park is one of the hardest parks to get to in the world. If you want to get to Gates to the Arctic, you gotta want it bad. Welcome to Gates to the Arctic. You've got to want it bad." And what that means is that to get out to the places that you want to go, you've got to have high intention. High intention. And that's the kind of thing that I think is misunderstood in the direction that culture is going in, is that to get what you want, it takes your intention, your drive, your will. Nobody owes it to you to take their time to drag you out to Gates to the Arctic or Shenandoah or to give you a piece of fucking candy or whatever. Nobody owes you their life energy to do that. That's your life energy. That's your life. You can do what you want with it. You want to come to Shenandoah? You get your ass out here. I'm sure that with God's intelligence that was put inside your brain, you can figure it out. You have the ability. I believe in you to do that. I also believe in you that, or also believe about you that if you were just dragged out here and given it, you wouldn't appreciate it. So for me to be out here, I'm just sitting out here looking around. It's a dream come true for me. But I'm lucky because a lot of my dreams come true because I'm somebody of high intention. Now, what I want to shoot into next, we've just got into Shenandoah National Park, is what it was that I saw last night. And I want to talk about what I saw, how I think about it, what I see going wrong, and the direction that, from my point of view, as I'm just learning. I'm 45, but I'm just learning what I think would mean for things to go right. Okay, so first of all, when I see that woman last night, that's not a joke to me. Like I said, it's a little bit funny, I am the history, right, all that. Look, it's funny. I can laugh at anything. But it's also not funny. There are tens of millions of people in that mode. And if you pause and think about it, you kind of can't blame them for being in that mode to some extent. Why? Because let's say that you're born into a culture where people are not thinking about things like high intention, willpower, extended attention span, and so on and so forth, right? Finding your purpose, finding your niche, trying different things. And you're just born into a culture where you're just fucking confused. Why are there these people that are rich? Why are these people that have all this stuff? Why don't I have it? And then your mind defaults to they stole it, or they got lucky, or they inherited it, right? They stole it, got lucky, or inherited it. So basically the premise is they are at the effect of life. They're at the effect rather than being at the cause. But the truth is, while they are at the effect, they're only at the effect if they believe that they're at the effect. If they believe they're at the cause, then they become at the cause. It's a belief system. And that belief system, whatever it is that you believe about life, you're going to find more and more evidence of it. So if you believe that, then you're going to be very, very fucking pissed off at your situation, okay? Versus maybe, instead of being pissed off at the world, being pissed off at yourself for not taking action, then taking action, okay? Getting pissed is good when it's self-directed and it means growth. It doesn't mean it's not useful if it's blaming everybody else. Or if you do blame other people, then take some action. So imagine that you're born into that kind of mentality. And that your parents are in that mentality, and your aunts in that mentality, your uncles in that mentality, your grandparents are in that mentality, generations are in that mentality. Now you go to public school. Public school is, in some ways, a miracle. Teaches you how to read and write, teaches you how to do math, long division, multiplication, polynomial factoring, trinomial factoring, teaches you about a cell membrane. It teaches you about osmosis, mitosis. It teaches you about KNO3, potassium nitrate. Did I get that? It's been a minute. Maybe a little bit of computer programming. Okay, a couple little skills like that, right? Gets you running around playing some dodgeball. Maybe you read a little bit of Shakespeare. It's all amazing stuff, right? This is good stuff. I'm both a fan and someone who appreciates the public education system because there's a lot of people that went to great trouble to build that. It's definitely way better than nothing. There's people that are busting their ass to try to teach. I think my kids' teachers are excellent, and that's in public school. I send my kids to public school. I'm not really a believer in private school for kids. I think the point of going to school is just learn how to deal with other dipshits. I think that's the main lesson. So, I don't want them around a bunch of soft, rich kids. I want them around a bunch of hardcore public school little thugs so they learn how to deal with reality. So, if you're in that mindset and you go to public school, is that really going to get you to the point that you understand how the world works? Do you get how the world works from that standpoint? Or are you just getting further and further bought into the system of go to school, eat high fructose corn syrup, not understanding the larger picture of this sort of like jungle that you're born into, then go to college, accrue debt at college, big pharma, big agriculture, putting different things to your body, big tech, big media, all these huge machines that are kind of pumping this stuff in your head and your body and your soul and so on and so forth. And you're just left spit up and you're just left chewed, spit up, and or you're chewed on and spit out, okay? Rode hard and put away wet, all right? You are just bitter, you're fucked, and you don't understand what to do. And you're sitting there and basically the pattern is you at best you finish high school, maybe to go to college, get debt, or maybe you get a scholarship or something, but for most people, you get some debt, or what happens is you leave high school, you drop out of high school, you don't really understand how to play the game properly, and so you're sitting there, maybe you move out of your parents' house, you go get an apartment, maybe your apartment's $1,200 a month, maybe you get a job for $4,000 a month, and so you've got just a little, in the future, the money will be all different currency perhaps even, inflation, all that. But basically what happens is that you have almost no money, and you're working all week to have barely any time. You're miserable when you get home, and then all you want to do is smoke weed. Well, what do we know about marijuana? Rots your fucking brain. Maybe you want to drink. Rots your fucking brain. Maybe you want to look at social media. Rots your fucking brain. So then from a standpoint of being pissed off, broke, not knowing what to do, bad paradigms in your head, brain rot from the things that you're consuming, you're just sitting there, and where does that leave you? I am the history. I'm the history. It's one of those lucky people, and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to show you is that it's very, very natural that somebody is pissed off. We get that, right? So then what's happened is in the capitalist system, basically, let me show you a pattern of how it goes. I deal with a lot of the top marketers in the world. I deal with a lot of the top business people in the world. Here's kind of how it works, okay? So then what happens in the capitalist system is that you see people in that mode, and you say to yourself, look, God bless him. You try to help him, maybe make some charities, but nothing seems to work. And then you say to yourself, look, we can try to help people like this, but nothing seems to fucking work. And I know for myself as a business owner, every business owner has the same story. You hire the nephew and they fuck up the job. You hire that broke person off the street and they fuck up the job. You give the charity and the people just wind up spending it on drugs. So you're sitting there and you're saying, maybe these people just can't be helped. Like maybe there's just no helping them. Maybe they're just destined to be like this. Is this just what it is? Of course, the best bet would be helping the next generation because they haven't had that toxic conditioning fully take root in them just yet. There's a higher propensity for change in them. But overall, most business owners, by the time that they get to that point that they're just bitter, it's not that they're just selfish. They've tried. And they've seen that it doesn't take. It's like the woman that I met. I can sit there, try to shake her hand, tell me your thoughts, tell me your feelings. I am the history, right? You know, she like, which I'm not even sure where she comes from. My children are half Mexican. I'm not sure if she was Latina or maybe she's Native American. I spend huge amounts of time in Navajo Nation. I'm a huge admirer of Native American culture. I make sure to spend a lot of time in Navajo Nation, and I make sure to give back to it all the time. I've gone hiking on long trips in Navajo Nation. I want to talk to her. I love her. I care about her. I'd like to help her out. But it's just, I am the history. She's just pissed. And there's no connecting. She's in that paradigm, and it's got her, and I could spend the rest of this video showing all the different ways that paradigm takes root, from synaptic superhighways that are being reinforced in the brain of certain thought patterns, to the fact that certain emotional addictions become homeostasis in the body, to the fact that any kind of feedback outside her paradigm is blocked out, to the fact that there's energetic parasites on the mind that are blocking out the light of God, and when someone blocks out the light of God, they look kind of demonic. And I don't know exactly what it comes down to, and maybe you'd catch her on a better day. She looks quite rational. I don't know. But I love her anyway, and it hurts me to see that. Look, I got a little bit of like gallows humor. I can kind of laugh at it. History, right? It's kind of funny. But it also pisses me off that we allow our country, okay, and I'm saying this as a Canadian, as an external consultant for an American, to get to this fucking point that this is just okay. And you walk around in places like Los Angeles, this shit is just fucking everywhere, and it's gaining momentum. So then you say to yourself, well, what is missing in the public education system? What's going on? And you might wonder why I make videos like this. I make videos like this because I'm 45 years old and I've got 3 kids and want some more. So I'm saying that this is somebody 45 years old going, what kind of fuckery are my children going to grow up in? And what kind of fuckery are your kids going to grow up in? But again, we could talk about this bigger picture stuff. It's about you changing first, me changing first. Don't judge the chip in your brother's eye when you have a plank in your own eye. So what we're going to do next, we're going to shoot a little bit deeper here into Shenandoah. It's going to be a beautiful drive, and we'll see how much we finish off today, or we're going to shoot it over to New York City tonight. Maybe we'll finish it in New York, maybe we'll finish it here. But whatever the case, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you a bit of a deeper understanding of what freedom means to you. What is this ecosystem that you're let loose in? It's basically a jungle, but we live in a jungle where, unlike a jungle where animals are all killing each other, fish are all killing each other, and they're doing so to get protein, and they're doing so to get vitamins, and that's why they're killing each other. In this environment, we're still in a jungle, but people are coming after us for a different reason. Our time, our energy, our focus, our will, our societal influence. And what happens is when you see somebody who's consumed that from other people, they may have a lot of focus and brightness and resources and influence and so on and so forth, whereas other people are just derped out, spaced out, and functioning as a battery for larger society. Once you understand this, once you understand what you're actually getting involved in, once you know what it is, you're like, oh, that's like the world. That's what I'm involved in. You can actually start to enjoy it. You can say to yourself, okay, this is what I'm getting involved in. You understand the jungle that you're in. But we've got to make people understand, and you've got to understand, you are in a fucking jungle. Maybe you're not being attacked for protein and vitamins and having your guts ripped out by an animal, but other human beings, other mind viruses, other mimetic ideas, and so on and so forth, are coming after you for your time, your energy, your focus, your will, your influence. They're coming after you. And they're either going to leave you so spent that literally you've just been chewed up and spit out. And it's like your soul's been ripped out of your body. Time's been ripped out of you. Nutrition's been ripped out of you. And you're an emptied out husk. Or you're going to be somebody who's vibrant and who can enjoy your fucking freedom, enjoy your life, and life could just be absolutely amazing. And you can really become your best self. And in the longer run, you have to learn how to not just be trying to pull energy out of other people, but how to actually find a win-win, because that's what connects you to God. Okay, so we just got into New York City. We had a beautiful time in DC, even more beautiful time in Shenandoah. And now, as we've gotten into New York, this is the perfect metaphor for exactly what it is that I'm going to explain to you here. Now, here's what it is. Anytime that you watch a nature documentary, what are you going to see? Animals eating each other, fish eating each other in the ocean. Basically, everything is eating everything else, okay? It's like murder, 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 death, 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 kill, kill, kill. Everything is eating the energy off everything else. It's part of a food chain. It's part of evolution. It's Mother Nature. It's beautiful, but it's also fucking terrifying. Now, what happens is that we think, oh, you know, we live in modern society. It's different here. Look how beautiful it is. Look at all the beautiful buildings back here. It's also pretty. There's no one trying to eat me for protein. There's no other animal trying to eat me for vitamins. But you need to realize that everything eating everything else and everything taking energy from everything else and energy recycling everywhere is just part of nature and is part of the world. It's everywhere and it never stops, even in modern society, okay? So look, even when you look at a cute little plant, those plants are growing over each other to get the sun away from other plants. The root systems are attacking each other. Viruses are attacking the plants. Bacteria is attacking the plants, probably and the viruses, okay? Everything is attacking everything else. It's crazy. That is the condition of life. So sitting here in modern society, you're thinking, okay, we're out of that. I could just live life, you know? I can go to McDonald's, I go to my school, I get a job, I go to college perhaps, so on and so forth. I've been sheltered from all that. Just keep me asleep from the nature of human existence and existence on this earth. Here's the thing. Human beings, we don't eat, we're not cannibals, at least 99.999% of us, okay? But in a different way, we actually are, and here's how. What human beings do to each other is we eat each other for time, focus, energy, will, and social influence, okay? Now, here's how I'd explain it to you. As you walk down the street, what you're gonna see is a lot of people that look very, very derpy. I love human beings. I believe in the potential of human beings. But what you're gonna see is people looking very, very derpy. And you're gonna say to yourself, why are they like that? And then you might see somebody who's very switched on. You say, oh, well, they must have a high IQ. Their IQ is high. Maybe they have good genetics. It's their genetics and their IQ. You're just thinking that, right? Or maybe they studied harder. Look, genes, IQ, study, that definitely can impact people's intellect, for sure. We all understand that. We get that. But let's go a little bit deeper than that. Look, in truth, if you have been exposed to negative social conditioning, negative media, or let's put it this way, energy-sucking social conditioning, energy-sucking media, energy-sucking food, energy-sucking relationships, energy-sucking paradigms, energy-sucking form of work, energy-sucking form of existence. And in effect, if you are functioning as a battery, okay, for whether it's negative energy, whether it's different businesses, political systems, ideology, social conditioning, food you're eating, drugs, alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. If you are functioning as a battery, then what's happening is that your time is getting sucked away. Your energy is being sucked away. Your focus and capacity to focus is being sucked away, okay? Your ability to access your own will is being sucked away to where you're barely even what most people would think of as a human being because you can't even access your will. And your ability to have social impact is sucked away. It's all being taken away from you. So that's why you see people walking down the street. Their time has been sucked away from them in some bullshit commute to some bullshit job. Their time and energy has been sucked away in that situation. They're eating horrible food, usually consuming drugs, alcohol at night, which makes them more derpy. They're brainwashed by various different paradigms. They're taught at different psychological, spiritual paradigms that are draining them. They're involved in different ideologies that are draining them that they're not seeing or understanding. There's just a whole bunch of different things that are draining them, okay? I've got a list of them right here. I'm gonna be very, very precise in this list. This is a video. I actually shot this video in Alexandria in Virginia, and I thought I wasn't precise enough, so I'm reshooting it. And I am very, very, very precise in this one, okay? So basically what you have is, like I said in summary, be aware of the jungle-like dynamic. Don't be confused by the fact that people don't eat each other for protein and nutrients anymore. Rather, it's time, focus, willpower, social influence, and energy. And so basically, what you've got to be careful of would be media consumption, ideas, paradigms, food, relationships, work, hobbies, failure to understand active recovery, okay? Now, here's the thing. The basic way that you want to break this down, you got to understand this, is that there's people that are creating the reality, and many of these people are billionaires so many times over that who knows how much money they have, okay? I'd recommend that you look into the history of how money was created, things like Jekyll Island, Federal Reserve, and basically just the history of money. Look up who it is that actually benefits by the system, okay? Just go look this stuff up. But it's not just them. The system itself, it's more than just a bunch of specific elites, you know, living back here and so on and so forth, okay? It's not just a specific individual. It's an entire system that really has its own momentum, okay? And so people benefit from the system of other people being asleep while they get the benefit. And they wind up getting, you know, I mean, somebody who's at the top of the top of the top, they have unlimited time, unlimited energy, unlimited money, unlimited education, unlimited basically everything, while people at the bottom don't have it. they are totally screwed, and they're absolutely in a complete utter headlock. They could break out of it, but guess what? They don't understand the paradigms. They've been eating the wrong food, drugs, alcohol, wrong ideas, wrong way of understanding time, energy, not having value for their time, not believing that their cause is not the effect. They're in a trance, and that trance is what actually has them held down. Now, you're never going to hear me say that we should become, that we go, oh, viva la communist resistance, or anything like that. You'll never hear me say that. Rather, what I'm a believer in is private education. Here's the problem, though, that we see in capitalist society, okay? You either have communism, where, or extreme forms of socialism, where what you have is people just say, oh, well, if we own the means of production, we could just share it so someone at the top didn't take 99% of it. So let's just go raid them and take over it. And then what happens is typically some communist dictator comes in, and it's even worse than just the capitalist system. That's the extreme far left side. Then you have the further right side, where what you see is businesses say, hey, we're just here for profit. The purpose of the business is profit. People are who they are. You can't save them. That's just who they are. Too bad, so sad. It is what it is. And so they don't have any incentive to look at anything but the bottom line, right? So, and then we can create public education, but what do you learn about every single thing where there's no incentive? If there's no incentive, it can only go so far. Well, then you have private education, which is only accessible to certain people. And frankly, I don't even think that private education goes far enough. I just don't. I don't think it's good enough for what it costs. It's great, but I don't think it's that different from public in most cases. And actually, the kids are often rich. It's just sheltering your kids from reality. So in my view, this is just my personal opinion. I could be wrong on this, okay? A lot of things I'm an expert. Maybe I'm wrong about this. But I believe that it has to be private individuals using the fact that we do have social media to talk about these issues, to say, yo, what's going on? Like, why is society just getting flushed down the fucking toilet? Why do people hate their country? What's going on? And what you have to understand is, what would we teach in that form of private education? Like what is it that we would explain? And I would say at a baseline level, the thing that people would have to understand is you're still in a jungle, okay? You're still in a jungle. And that doesn't mean the solution is to have big daddy government come in and just stabilize everything and then exploit the shit out of you and be massively corrupt, because corruption is not a variable, it's a constant, okay? Corruption is everywhere. So centralizing everything is not the answer either. But people have to have some kind of, we have to speak out about this kind of stuff and say, yo, when you're walking down the street derpy like that, that's not okay, okay? Okay? Drugs are bad, okay? There has to be an understanding, and this understanding has to become more common knowledge. You are in a concrete jungle. It is parasitic. These things are predators, okay? They are predators. They give you on the front end and steal from you on the back end. That is what has to be understood. Once you understand these things, then you can be, and here's how it has to happen. You've got to be able to audit this stuff at a very, very high level. You've got to be incredible at auditing what it is that's directly in front of you. And what I'm going to suggest is, look, in the same way that some fucking psycho type personality, like a cluster B, can scan you and just see what's going on with you and see the transaction of it, you've got to be able to have auditing capabilities like one of those psychos. But at the same time, you also have to go past that, because the problem is, if you're just purely viewing yourself as like some hunter in modern society, and you're not also giving back, and you're not also seeing the humanity in other people, then what happens is you wind up hitting a limitation where you're just operating like some kind of psycho, and you just wind up being a part of the problem as opposed to being a part of the solution. So what I want to do next, I'm going to show you a little bit about how to audit and basically how to be an apex winner in the jungle. That is the reality of this freedom, because having freedom means that you are let free in a jungle-like environment. How to be somebody who comes out of that and wins, it's really not that hard, okay? It's really not that hard. It's not so hard that we need to give away our power to a dictator to save us. It's really not that hard, okay? So let me show you a little bit about it, how to audit it, and then from there, the final idea will be how to transcend the whole paradigm with the spiritual dimension of it, okay? So we're gonna head into town. Hope that you're enjoying being here with me in New York. You've enjoyed being in DC and Shenandoah so far, and we're gonna go deeper next on how to audit your situation.
I see you slowly fading away.
Okay, so I'm going to explain to you something very, very unconventional, and this might surprise you, but in my view, you have to become a master of the physical jungle, but also a master of the spiritual jungle. And you can see why people are so confused, because if all that you think you got to do is just eat a bunch of fucking Taco Bell, go to public school and smoke weed every day, or, you know, whatever the social conditioning is saying, then that's obviously a far cry from mastering the physical and spiritual jungle. So that's why we're going to explain that here a little bit. And look, anybody can understand what I'm saying here, but you have to have that seed planted in your head in the first place. So here's what it is. People that are masters of the physical world, oftentimes, and I am not a fan of this at all, so not suggesting that you embrace this, but it's often people who have cluster B personality disorders. People like narcissists or people like psychopaths are very, very good at looking at another human being and sizing them up for what they can extract from them and what that other person will try to get back out of them. So, you know, a psycho or a narcissist oftentimes can just look at you and go, I mean, they can see right through you. They can see all your bullshit, all the lies you tell yourself, all the incongruencies you tell yourself, all your little vulnerabilities. They can see that. By the way, if you want to know why that is, it's because the energy of Satan is fighting vulnerabilities in you. And likewise, all this satanic fucking food and drugs and shit finds a vulnerability in you. You know how the narcissist likes to love bomb to get in and then fucks you up on the back end? That's a lot of modern society bullshit. So the same way you get fucked up by someone with MPD or a psychopath, the same way you get fucked up by modern society. Modern society basically functions as a collective psychopath. Has some good sides too. Like a psycho, like a narcissist. Funny, right? Okay. So that being the case, just understanding that someone who's a fucking predator like that is simply able to like look right through you and see what they can extract from you. You've got to start to get that mindset, but towards like a bag of chips, okay? You've got to be like the NPD psycho for a bag of chips or a bottle of Coca-Cola or alcohol, bottle of booze. You know, you've got to see that for a job. Like, you've got to look at that guy offering you some bullshit job and you got to be like, I see through you. I know what you're trying to take from me. You'll give me a paycheck on the front end, and then you'll extract my time and energy on the back end. You've got to see that. Like, you got to be like that psycho, like, oh, I see you, Coca-Cola. You're going to give me a nice fizzy little taste and some caffeine on the front end and give me fucking cancer on the back end. So I'm not engaging with you. You've got to be a little bit like that. Interesting to think about, isn't it? So anytime you have a friend, ask yourself, what are they giving? What are they taking? Maybe they're bringing good vibes. Maybe they've got good knowledge and so on and so forth, but maybe they emotionally deplete you. Maybe they burn down your time, right? And you've got to start to be a little bit more transactional. Now, what I'm going to say is this is going to lead you into a more spiritual framework. But what I'm going to suggest is to have a more transactional framework as a foundation, and then what you do is you transcend the whole thing in a spiritual framework on the back end, which is so cool, okay? So I want you to be like NPD level transactional up until, they'll quote that, right? They'll clip that. No, I hate that. I hate NPD type shit, but they'll clip that. But the point is, like, be like that to have a baseline of knowing when shit's gonna fuck you up and how to get the good things in your life, and then later transcend it. Now let's talk more specifics. Okay, so where did I learn this kind of framework from? You're gonna laugh. Ha ha ha. It's actually the video game Horizon Zero Dawn. I had not played video games my whole adult life. And finally, I wanted to teach my kids how to play a couple basic level games so they could play with their classmates. So I got a PlayStation 4 at the time. Now I have a PS5 in the future. We'll laugh at that. We'll laugh hard at that when everything's VR. Or like the movie Inception or something, if we're not in it yet. And basically what you'll see is there's a video game called Horizon Zero Dawn I started playing. Now, unlike most video games where you just beat the level, Horizon Zero Dawn was unique because you got to go around collecting armor, collecting weapons, and collecting ammo to go and beat one of the bosses. And if you wind up discharging too much ammo to beat a boss, and it depleted your cache, your storage of ammo too much, you're actually better off to restart the level and go play it again, because maybe you won, but you won at the expense of discharging too many of your resources. And what was funny is the video game, I mean, I hadn't done proper heavy-duty math in years, and all of a sudden, because I love the game, it's my favorite game, that and the sequel, I wound up having all these, like, pieces of paper out of notebooks. I'm like, okay, well, this arrow does this, and if you hit this part, it does this, and you combine it with this, it does this. All these combinations. It basically winds up being this amazing way to teach a kid math, and me math subsequently as an adult. So, unlike a normal video game where you beat the boss and then you won, this game, if you beat the boss but you used too many resources to get there, you actually went backwards in your life. That's like a fucking paycheck at a shitty job. Okay, you beat the boss, you got a paycheck, but what did it cost you on the back end of your time, energy? And the question is, what else? What else could you have been doing with that time, energy, focus, and so on and so forth? The boss of that job has paid you money and traded you that to usurp your will. He's reduced your ability to have social influence because you've wasted your time with that job. He's taking away your energy, he's taking away your time, he's taking away your focus, and now you got like $5,000 a month. Wow, bro. You could do one dinner at Joel Rubyshon in Vegas. Whoop-de-whoop. And I know that's condescending, but I'm trying to provoke you a bit and make you a bit uncomfortable to help you to progress. So, look, it's honest work. The boss is there, he's giving you a job. You can't really complain about it, right? It is truly, truly, truly honest work. But what I'd say is you got to be honest with yourself. Did you just beat the Horizon Zero Dawn boss, but lose all your fucking ammo to do it? So you've got to start being more stingy. Okay, I beat the boss. That's what I got. But what did it take from me to get it? Right. By the way, the funny thing too, when you beat the boss, it leaves you a couple more resources. But it has to leave you an excess of resources compared to what you spent to beat the boss. And you're always calculating this. That's how you have to start to see life. If I hang out with this person, will I get, fun, good vibes, refreshing, feeling better, knowledge, all that, maybe connections. But how much time and energy will I burn on that friend? You've got to feel that way about food. Okay, I got a good taste. But how much is going to fuck up my shit on the back end? Oh, I got high. Woo, whoop-de-whoop, got high. But I fried my fucking brain. And again, if you're not able to see all of these fucking predators coming at you, everything coming at you has nutrients and anti-nutrients, and if the anti-nutrients too excessively exceed the metaphorical nutrients, then it is acting as a fucking predator. Even something like heroin has its own energy where it gives you a super high in the front end, and then it strips you of your very soul. That shit is predatory. You are in a jungle, and this shit is predatory. But somebody that just grows up and doesn't know it, they have no idea. They're just sitting there chilling. They're like, I don't know. What's the problem? The problem is, as you can see, that they're going to be depleted of their time, energy, focus, will, social influence, and so on and so forth. And what happens is, some people, if you eat the right foods, and you spend your time doing the right things, and you keep increasing your vibe, and you take in the right spiritual energy, you recover properly, good active recovery, maybe like Russian Banya, whatever it is, get some massage, whatever it is, you walk around with this excess of energy. You're sitting there at age 50 with a sex drive of someone that's 21 because you have excess energy. What is potency but excess energy? You've got energy to work, energy to focus. You've got the right paradigms. You haven't absorbed predatory paradigms in your mind or predatory ideologies in your mind. You have an excess of energy. You have an excess of time, because again, the plus and minus, like Horizon Zero Dawn, you have an excess of time, an excess of energy, an excess of focus, an excess of your will, an excess of the ability to have social influence. And then when you have that, as you have that, what's going to happen? You're potent now. You're focused. You're locked in. And now you're not sitting there going, I am the history. And you can actually enjoy the fucking Lincoln Memorial and appreciate where you grow up and appreciate your fucking country. That's what I want to leave you with. What we'll go into next is the spiritual component of this entire thing. Okay, so we just got into Times Square, and what we're gonna do next is fill in a little bit more of that painting where we were talking about having a transactional state of consciousness. But then I'm gonna show you how to go full circle and transcend the whole fucking dynamic. Think about it a little bit like Russian dolls. One Russian doll is inside of another Russian doll is inside of another Russian doll. So with each dynamic, you take the good parts, but then you transcend it, okay? It's called integrate and transcend. Repeat that after me, even write it in the comments. Integrate and transcend, integrate and transcend, integrate and transcend. So look, once you've got the mindset that we're talking about here, as far as thinking transactionally, in other words, having awareness, base level awareness, not just being a derper, consuming whatever's in front of you, but having additional knowledge and awareness. What's going to happen is, in many cases, not everybody, but for many people, they're going to become very, very, very rich, very, very, very fast. They're going to get very, very, very good social results, very, very, very fast. And life is going to get amazing. What's going to wind up happening is that if you're auditing at that level and you're basically just looking at everything, what's this gimme, what's it take away, and you actually do that, unlike most people that you see out here that don't know what planet they're on, and I love them, that's why I'm frustrated, I want to help. What's going to happen, you'll get so successful that the physical world will give you everything you want. You're going to have all the social success you want, dating life success, relationship success, money, travel, go places, perhaps fame, It's going to just be given to you. But here's what you don't realize. You'll find God in what's called conscious non-resistance to pain or to resistance. And when we think back to that nice lady that we met, who was the history, back in the Lincoln Memorial, part of what she doesn't understand, in my view, is that is via pain, having to go through resistance, having to push up against something, what happens via that process, that's how you find God. Now, there's one or two things that happen when you encounter that resistance. The first one is you either get bitter and pissed off, or the second is you get better, right? You've heard that expression, get bitter or better. Our nice friend from Lincoln Memorial, she got very bitter. At least that's how she represented herself on that night. Who knows what she's like in real life? I don't want to judge from a small sample size. But the way she presented herself, from my point of view, was very bitter. That's someone who's encountered resistance and become more bitter, more bitter, more bitter, more bitter. Bitter! Okay? Now, on the other hand, you have people who become better. Become better. And what happens is, as you're encountering resistance, you go into the land of Eckhart Tolle. Okay, the land of the Tao Te Ching. And what you do is you breathe through it. You stay present to the moment through that process. You accept the now. Okay, you just accept that it's there. Oh, I'm in pain? I accept it. Remember what I said as we walked up the stairs in Lincoln Memorial? I said that it was the leg break, which is a vicious, brutal leg break. Tib, fib, and tibial plateau. More hardware in that leg than bone at this point. I mean, brutal surgery, brutal pain for months, in a wheelchair for like half the year almost. Well, what do you think happened in that level of pain? I had to go inwards. I had to go deeper. I viewed it that God sent me that injury to prepare me for what's to come. I need to go deeper in my spiritual grounding. And we're not going to find spiritual grounding by getting millions of dollars, and we're not going to find spiritual grounding by having a bunch of validation, because that's just a fucking dopamine spike, and that's an external sensation. Where we find God is by staying present through resistance. Jesus on the cross, forgiving, staying present, not allowing himself to be bitter, not allowing himself to be bitter even on the cross. Lesson that lady could learn. And then from there, that is how you have your second birth, which is what? The birth of the soul. So what happens is, as you go into that initial paradigm of, okay, let's look at the paradigms. Bottom level, derper, derp, 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 herpa, derpa. Oh, there's a hot dog? I guess I should eat it. Oh, weed, I should eat it. Oh, a bunch of advertisements everywhere. I guess I should look at it and take my attention, and I should just consume it. Oh, there's something on pop culture. I should consume it. Ah, right? No barrier at all. Just it's in front of you. It has social proof. Seems cool, tastes good, feels good, gets high, gets you drunk. Eat it. Put it in you, y'all. Okay? That's the derp state. Oh, a paradigm that's going to fuck my brain, ideology that's going to fuck my brain. That's the derp state. But people just take it in. Having discernment, saying, wait a minute, what does that give? What's that take? And really looking under the fucking hood of this shit. Okay, look under the fucking hood. In other words, look, simple example. You get a little bottle of vitamins. Don't just say, oh, it's super energy. It's a super energy vitamin. Look at the ingredients on the back. Take it a step further. Look at the quality of the ingredients on the back. See if it's a good version of that vitamin or nutrient. See where they sourced it from. Is it ginseng? Is that a 2-year ginseng that's just a base level crap stimulant? Or is it 15-year ginseng that's gonna nourish your fucking soul? Which one is it? These are basic level things the average person doesn't get. They don't know the difference between a wild caught or a wild picked blueberry and a farm blueberry and organic blueberry, okay? Grass-fed steak, grain-fed steak. That's simple examples, but you've got to see that within paradigms, ideologies, memes that are letting in your head, different idea viruses that you're letting in your mind, different ways of thinking that you're letting in, are the cause, not the effect. But there's thousands of levels of paradigms beyond that are constantly being hammered into you. Shit as dumb as stupid-ass music that makes you think that destroying yourself is cool and fun, to all sorts of much, much more complicated things embedded within society itself. This goes way deep. Having the ability to think a little bit more transactionally. What does this give me? What does this take from me? Does this give, is it a cope, or is it a thrive? Does it contribute to coping or thriving? Do I just feel some relief, medicate my pain, run away from my pain, bury my pain, stuff my pain with this? Or does it, like, you know, pump a brain neurotransmitter, but then later down-regulate it? That's another one. A lot of time things that you get given something, it down-regulates natural production. You know, if a woman uses a vibrator, it down-regulates her ability, if she uses it too often, not little treats, fine, but, you know, use it too often, down-regulates her ability just to enjoy regular sex or regular stimulation, right? So is it down-regulating anything? Is it switching things off that you do naturally? Is it switching off natural abilities? Is it giving you a cope, like, well, it's not my fault that my life sucks, it's all them, to give you relief, but at the expense that it down-regulates your ability to be at the cause of your fucking life? You know, so these are all different things that you've got to be more transactional. That person, oh, they're listening to me talk about how I'm a victim and shit talking and doing it with me. I feel good, I feel relief, but it's fucking my shit up. And once you see it, all within a framework of, here's kind of how you do it. List out everything, every idea, everything. From 1 to 10, what's to give, 1 to 10, what's to take. 1 to 10, what's to give, 1 to 10, what's to take. Once you do that, then what starts happening is you have that awareness, right? That's when you start to win. But the problem is, and I see this in a lot of my friends, and I've seen this in a lot of people I taught, and a lot of coaches that I help to build up from scratch. And what happens is you see them getting mills, you see them getting a lot of social success, and what happens is they lose touch with divine, with being present in the moment, with conscious non-resistance. Look, that ongoing bit of pain and resistance that you get from taking on a business challenge, that you get from having the courage to go to meet people, that shouldn't be just feeding result, and stimulation and validation, which takes you away from God. Rather, it's the effort that you put into the business, where you've got to push through an obstacle, or the effort that it took to walk up to someone, and it took a little bit of courage. That there, and staying present to that, is what builds conscious non-resistance. And that gets you very, very present. And as you do that, you say to yourself, wait a minute, even though I'm at a point where I'm thinking transactionally, if I actually think more win-win, I enter an entirely new paradigm. And that new paradigm is, as you get into a flow state, as you go into a state of release, not control, which we'll talk about in other videos, and I'm talking about a lot of other videos, as you tap in, as you connect, and as you find the win-win and help another person, this is why this is so huge in the Bible, so huge in Jesus Christ's teachings. As you give to other people, what happens is you enter the world of win-win. What happens? You tap in, suddenly you have more energy. You think more clearly. You have more creativity. You're brimming with energy. The cup runneth over. And people look at you and you have this supernatural look to you. Like, how do you have that much energy? How are you that locked in? Why are you able to speak without any kind of script? Why does it all just come to you? Why can you walk up to someone on the street and attract them with nothing prepared? How do you walk into a 500-person room without even a microphone connected to speakers, and you're so fucking loud that your voice booms out and you can just crank baller seminars right off the cuff? How do you do it? How do you help other people? How do you do free events all over the fucking world? You do that with excess. And you're gonna have your version of that. I'm chatting on mine. You're gonna have your version of that. You will do things that you can't even imagine right now. Your life will expand. You, honestly, will conquer the fucking world. And what does it mean to conquer the world? It means to add value to the world. Not to dominate the world, but to merge into the world, become the world, and add value to the world. And you will leave your legacy where that world is better off because of you. And your body will die, but your soul will remain. But the energy that you manifested on earth will remain. And therefore, you will accomplish things that you never thought possible through God. So what it means is not just thinking transactionally, but understand, you know how we say that if you just feed off of dopamine, that actually disconnects you from God? Guess what? Being an apathetic derper also feeds you dopamine because you say an apathy, which means that you reduce cortisol. It's actually more long-term cortisol, but in the short term you reduce cortisol. And you just sit there taking the path of least resistance and you're on autopilot. So what happens when you're a derper is you're actually disconnected from God. It's like, oh, a poor person is actually more spiritual than a rich person. No. A poor person is super fucking derpy and disconnected from God. A rich person who thinks transactionally, maybe they're winning, also disconnected from God. But it's via taking action and adding to the world and making the world a better place that you tap in, the cup runneth over, and the spirit comes out of your fucking pores. And so this is basic level spirituality. Don't take it from me. These are books that anybody can read. You can read the Tao Te Ching. You can read the Bible. You can read the Power Now. You can read any of these books. You don't need to take this from me. This is my summary and internalization and my angle on things that I read. So these are ideas that have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years that you can internalize yourself. And what happens is, as this becomes mainstream, then people begin to wake up. Then people are not saying, I am the history, but people are making fucking history. People don't say, oh, it sucks where I live. The fact that the founding fathers came in and actually gave us a chance, and Lincoln came in and helped him finish the damn job. But we say, no, we have gratitude. That was an act of God. That's spiritual. That's holy. The fact that freedom is the foundation of God, because freedom gives you the ability to suffer through that pain so that you can have conscious non-resistance. Freedom gives you the ability to sharpen the sword. Iron sharpens iron. Freedom gives you the ability to go fail, to have pain, and to learn from those lessons. Not to have your life predetermined like a bowling alley where the ball just rolls down and you're just fed dopamine and minimize stress and you're safe and safetyism and stay safe 2020 and all that. But rather you go down that lane, you take pain, you take the lessons, you grow through those paradigms, and you actually want to change the fucking world. That is what we need to bring back. That's what people have to understand, but it's more abstract. Look, I'm sitting here in Times Square. How many people that I could say this to would understand what the fuck I'm talking about? So we've got work to do. I want to thank you for being here, and I'll be back with more soon. Peace.